Okay, perfect. So good morning and welcome to the Employability Skills Series, where we discuss different skills each week that employers are looking for with professionals from a variety of industries to offer their insights and expertise. I am your host, Megan Morrow, Associate Director of Business Careers, and today I have Lance Schmidt, Managing Principal at Clifton Larson Allen, CLA, as my guest today. Today, we're going to be talking about strong work ethic. Lance is a managing principal of the Central Florida offices of Clifton Larson Allen, or CLA. With nearly 19 years of experience in consulting, accounting, and auditing, Lance is a certified public accountant, certified fraud examiner, and certified internal auditor. More than anything, Lance enjoys solving problems. He is an accountant by trade, but loves helping his clients comply with complex regulations and accounting standards, adding value to their organizations using data analytics and solving their most challenging and complex issues. Lance has experience in a variety of industries, but has found a home serving local governments. He enjoys having a long-lasting relationship with his clients and being a go-to resource for all things accounting, risk, and management consulting. So thank you, Lance, again for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks, Megan. Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, I know I just read your bio, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, kind of as you mentioned there, Megan, do a lot in the area of working with state and local governments and obviously accounting, risk management, auditing. Started my career out, kind of like, a lot of people do right out of college, just, trying to find a job, found, took the first one, that was going to pay me and give me an opportunity. And then from there, especially, when you start off in a professional service firm or a CPA firm, it's very, very intimidating. Everyone's got, degrees on the walls and, multiple letters after their name. And you're just like, wow, this is a lot. And then after a while you work in it and you just kind of plug away and, eventually you find yourself that, hey, I know something, and maybe I've got some letters behind my name, and it just kind of goes on from there. And so my career journey has been interesting to, worked with a few different organizations and definitely learned a lot with each one. And, currently serving as a managing principal at CLA is extremely rewarding, kind of using all those things that I've learned and then also helping others, kind of grow their careers and, find their inspired journey. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. As an educator, obviously helping people is part of my passion as well. So it's wonderful to hear that that is part of other industries as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So today we're talking about strong work ethic. So what does that even mean? Like what is that to you?
That's a great question because I feel like when we talk about strong work ethic, it's really hard to describe, right? Trying to say, what does hard work look like or strong work ethic, and it's difficult to describe, but you definitely know it when you see it. And I think whenever we talk about, having a strong work ethic, we can all think about somebody in our lives. It could be a family member, it could be a coworker, it could be someone that we've worked with, in university level, in a group project, to where you say, you know what, that person just gives it their all. They're all in. They're not halfway in, halfway out. You just know that, man, they're showing up, and when they show up, they're going to deliver and they're going to give it their all. And so I think when we talk about work ethic, I think it's one of those things that is super critical, and it's not something we necessarily talk a lot about, or even, is it something that we're just born with, or is that something that we have the capacity to grow or strengthen our work ethic? And so, which I'm a firm believer that it is something that, it is like a muscle that can be, flexed and grown over time, and that it's not a static thing, that it's something that, we can kind of grow into and, continually expand what that looks like. And so I think it's, again, very difficult to put into words, but I think it's something that, we can definitely, when we see it, we definitely know what it is.
Absolutely. And I see it even in the classroom, the ones that show up all the time, that are engaged, they ask probing questions, when I have a guest speaker, they're fully involved. I mean, to me, that is like the beginnings, of laying that foundation for when they go into the workplace to have that same kind of full on engagement. My mentor one time told me, like, when you are at a job or you're in a class or, whatever you've committed yourself to, like, give it 100% and
Yep.
don't have false loyalty.
Yep.
Like if this is not a good fit for you, or, some people are worried about like leaving jobs and stuff like that, like it might look bad, but if you give it your all while you're there, and then if you need to move on, then, definitely you could do that appropriately. But having that strong sense of commitment to the mission of the company or the course or whatever it is that you're involved in, that always kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, no, it's true, especially, again, coming right out of college or university, understanding that the expectation, anytime someone takes on a new job or enters a new organization, is that they are going to give it their all, and they're going to, one, try to learn the culture. They're going to, learn the way that that organization works, but they're not going to, sit back and just say, well, let me know what's next, but they're going to engage and they're going to say, how can I be better? What else can I do?
Mhm.
We interview quite a few folks every year as we look at filling various intern spots or new campus hires that we fill across the state. And so we've probably, I know for a fact we interview hundreds of students in that process. And it's always interesting because there's uh, certain individuals that we interview that, for instance, maybe they're doing athletics, and maybe when you look at the resume, maybe there's some questions. You're like, well, they're doing this, they're doing that, but maybe the GPA is not exactly where we want it. But we start looking at what they're actually doing, and they're able to maintain a athletic schedule and still have a decent GPA. That means something. Or we've had other individuals that maybe they've worked their way through college, and in addition to that, are still able to achieve a certain degree of success. If I'm comparing that to a 4.0 that maybe isn't doing anything else, the hard work definitely weighs into that, as and in the sense of like, hey, if this person can do all of this and still get a degree, that says something, and that kind of displays that hard work that we're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's something my mentor said too, like when he's looking, because he's been a hiring manager for over 40 years. And my mentor is actually my father. So I grew up with this as well. But he said the same thing. He said, when I'm looking at a resume and you have a 4.0, that's fantastic. You worked hard for that, absolutely. But if that's all you did, that's not nearly as impressive as, say, having a 3.4, but either being in athletics or being in clubs, like,
Right.
a
Yeah.
fraternity or something like that, or some type of
All of them. Yeah.
organization, volunteering, as well. I read a study that employers look for like four things on top of work experience, and obviously your education, make sure you have it, but what tech skills you have, if you speak other languages, volunteer experience in organizations. Would you say that's kind of accurate?
I'd say that's spot on, because it's really the person that can manage it, manage their life and still accomplish something. It's very easy to do one thing. It's very difficult to, kind of manage life and, get a degree and move into the workforce. That definitely means a lot when we're looking at a candidate.
What else would you say that, like, because I know, like, in my class, we do resumes, cover letters, we talk about that, interview skills and stuff like that. And I always like stress them, they have to stand out. You have to stand out, from hundreds of applicants, you have to stand out. What are some things that really, like, I know we just talked about clubs, organizations involvement, but like, is there other things that like really stick out to you that make you go like, oh my gosh, this would be a good candidate that I want to learn more about?
Yeah, no, there's some things that when we're looking at a resume that really will pop and get my attention. A couple of those, I would say we see a fair number of applications that come through, that maybe you can tell that maybe they went on to Indeed or some other job service, and they just said apply, 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 and they come through, and you can tell that it's not tailored towards the position, it's not tailored towards the organization. There's nothing that says they even know what position they're even going after, other than the fact that they want a job, which we know that because they've applied. So I think that's I wouldn't say it's something I look for. It's a little bit of unfortunately, something that's a negative detractor from
Yeah.
those individuals when we see no customization at all. However, the things that really stand out for me, as we talked about, the involvement, athletics, clubs, maybe other work history, maybe while they're going through their college career. And then, I'd say the last thing that really gets me excited is when I see that that individual has a plan for their future growth. So that may mean that they've gone and achieved an Excel certification and something that they've done while they're in school, or they list on there that, hey, I'm working to achieve my, you know, certified public accountant license or CPA license, or I've worked towards my CMA. I'm working towards something, because that tells us that this isn't an individual that's trying to check the box and get through college and then just, move on to the next thing, but rather they're investing in their career. And someone who's willing to take that time to invest in their career, I think it's a great opportunity of going, far, within the organization. And someone who's going to have even if they haven't figured out exactly where they want to be, go, or what they want to be in their career, they're at least making some steps forward, which kind of goes back to that strong worth ethic that says, hey, I don't know where I'm at maybe, or where my end goal is, but I'm going to do something in the meantime. And I'm going to keep moving forward and improving and investing in myself and their career journey. And that, like I said, doesn't mean that they have to have any of those things yet, but just the fact of putting it on there and saying, this is my plan to get my CPA license, or my plan to get my CMA license. That just says, hey, there's a plan. They're working it. So.
No, I like that you say that, because I think a lot of times students get a little concerned, especially like early on. They're like, I have no idea what I want to do. Like, I don't know where. And to kind of reassure them, I had a young lady in my office the other day, and she was like, just please tell me I'm not crazy. And I'm like, no, honey, you are not crazy. You are totally fine. None of us really know exactly.
No.
I mean, we might, have these ideas, but like, I'll tell you, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a bear trainer. I told my mom I was going to be a bear trainer or a taxi cab driver. And she was just like, aim high, girl, aim high. And I had
That's
no
awesome.
idea. I had no idea that I would end up here. And my career path is very much the broken road. My undergraduate is in psychology. So I worked in psychiatric hospitals, and I ended up working in prison for several years. And then I got into teaching. And then that's when I realized that I love to educate. I love what I do. I love working with people. And I had no idea. So to hear you say that too, someone who's very successful, who has, all the letters behind your name and everything, you probably didn't think that was going to be your path when you were young and going through school. And I think it's really beneficial for our students to hear that. Like, it is perfectly okay to not know, that's why we have internships, get out there, try things, make sure you like it, but give it your all. Again, going back to that strong work ethic, which I have on here, flexibility and adaptability. I just realized I told you this has been kind of crazy. I'm coming to you from Indiana, so a little bit of time change too. So I'll have to change that. But just not, but giving it your all. I think, being fully invested. And I also like that you brought up, having the time to take certain classes and get certifications. Students can do that outside of the coursework too, especially if you're not 100% sure what you're doing. Take some classes, put some things on your resume that does show that you have a plan and that you're coachable, that you're adaptable, that you're willing to do that extra mile. I think is really attractive to employers as well.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the other things too is that, I've heard a quote, that 80% of success is just showing up. And I don't think that means just showing up and doing nothing. I think what it means is just showing up day after day and showing up, opportunity after opportunity to say, we don't have this figured out. And I would say, even, at this point in my career, I don't know where I'm going to be at 10 years from now, or even 5 years from now.
Mhm.
But I know just even recently, it was last year that I, earned my certified internal audit designation. Didn't necessarily need to do that as a managing principal, but it was something I just wanted to continue investing in myself,
Mhm.
so that I don't get rusty, and I don't, kind of, fall in the trap of just being in a rut. And so, I think that concept of showing up day after day is huge. And, if you asked me when I started, hey, what are the odds that Lance will, make it to even manager, or even a senior, and, or a principal, or managing, like, it would have been slim to none. But it's one of those things where, once you not knowing exactly where you want to go, but just again showing up every day, doing the right things, and then I think the other part of that too, I think that's really really critical and important is that I think sometimes we think that if we're working hard or we're trying to maybe we're putting out a lot of effort for something that I think there's oftentimes this idea of, well, if I hustle, I'm gonna, I hustle one time, I make it big, and then I'm done. And I think that's truly an anomaly rather than the norm. And I think, strong work ethic is about showing up and doing it consistently over time and knowing that whenever you are working hard, that you're not working hard for, what happens at the end of the week when the paycheck comes, but rather I'm working hard for my career. I'm working hard for my career journey and where I'm going to be at. And the, the world that, most majors that will come out of a university and go work, whether it's in psychology or accounting or finance or management or marketing, is you will quickly find out that that world is very, very small. And you're going to see those people over and over again. And so, sometimes we think of strong work ethic as all being about us, but or about the immediate term, but really it's about remembering that, oh, I used to work with Lance and he did a great job. So I'm gonna call him when I need this, or hey, I'm gonna think of him when I've got this opportunity, and that is a long-term play that will continue reaping benefits time and time again, from just showing up, staying in contact with individuals, and really, making that, being true to yourself and showing up every day and giving it your best is. I mean, it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving in terms of opportunities in the workplace, in the long term.
No, that's awesome that you bring that up as well. The networking, I mean, I stress that so much. Network, get to know people, don't burn bridges, remember people, make connections, because it could be a couple years down the line, like you said, like, oh, I remember that you did this really wonderful thing. And I tell the students that too all the time, like get connected with your professors, get connected with people in the community, because then your name is like at the top, and when I have someone like from your firm that says, hey, we have this internship opportunity available. Do you know anybody? I can easily be like, oh, yes, I do. Or let me get this out to a couple different people and I'll get you some candidates. And that's super powerful because of the ethic, the effort that I see. I want to put my kind of like neck on the line for certain people when I know that they won't disappoint.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the professional world. Same thing. I want to be known down the line, like, oh, wow, she did these things. She was really, focused, and she did these wonderful things for the students. And it's, beneficial to not just me and my career, but also to the people that I'm working with. And so I think that's
Yes.
really powerful.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So can you tell me, if you can think of a time, like maybe when somebody didn't necessarily have a really good, strong work ethic, and maybe how that was detrimental to either the project or the company or the relationship?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, and I'm sure we could all think of a time when we were working maybe with a group or working with someone where, we experienced that sense of maybe let down of maybe what we wanted someone to do versus, what the actuality was. But, I think that, when you think about kind of examples of when that's happened, it happens a lot. I'll say it happens a lot, but it does happen from time to time to where an individual just not, you can just tell their heart's not in it. And you can just, you can kind of tell that, they're not, and maybe they did at first, maybe they were going 110%, but you could tell it's just dropped off. And
Yeah.
I think what generally happens in those situations is that that person's either passion or maybe their why, if you want to say it that way, has either changed or it's different, or maybe they've accomplished what they want to accomplish. And usually, whenever I remember one guy in particular that was on our team. He was a real star performer, did an excellent job, was an extremely valued member of the team. But over time, I kind of saw it waning a little bit, and I went and talked to him, and I said, "Hey, man, like we love you on the team, but it just seems like, it's maybe it's different today than it was, maybe a year
Yeah.
ago." And we kind of talked about it, and as we talked more about it, what we realized was that his passion wasn't doing what he was doing here at CLA. It was something completely different. In fact, he had a family business, and he was feeling the tug to kind of go and do that and work in the family business. And the more he thought about it, the more he's like, "This is what I want to do." And it wasn't an accounting family business; it was a retail location. And so, it was great for us to just have the conversation, talk about it, and it was clear that his why and his what was driving him to have that strong worth ethic had changed. And it was good that we had the conversation because we were able to help transition in the long term, over several months to say, hey, let's make this happen. Let's work together, and we'll give you the skills that you need here to be successful out there. And at the same time, still kind of balancing that with the business needs. And we were able to do that. And I think at the end of the day, it was a win-win, because he was able to get the inspired career he was looking for. CLA was able to kind of have a raving, alumni that was out in the community, and someone that even since then we've done work with. So it's kind of a, when you do things the right way,
Mhm.
and you really have the individual at heart, it works out great. But that's really what I go to first when I see a change in that effort, is just what's going on. What is the why? Is it something that's internal, or is it something that's external? And sometimes it has nothing to do with work. It has everything to do with my life has changed, and this is now the new number one. Could be
Yeah.
a family member that needs additional care, or big life change, and maybe moving to a different city, or getting married, or having children, or just something major. And so, which is fine. That is life, and that's expected. And so, I think the thing is that we're giving it 110% on all the things that we're passionate about, that we care about, that are in front of us.
No, that's wonderful. Yeah, because things can and do change,
Yes. Yep.
and to be able to, be honest. So that was good that you were able to talk to this person and that he was open and honest with you instead of just like, oh no, I'm sorry, because I think sometimes we might want to cover up, like, is no, it's I'm just going through something, it'll be fine. But the fact that he clearly trusted you and had a good relationship with you, that he felt like he could be as open and honest with you. So that's really wonderful. So students take that away as well. If there is a change, like I said a little bit earlier in the call, like don't have the false loyalty. If it's not a good fit for you, but give it your all while you're there, but don't burn the bridges of just either walking out or doing a not so good job. And then, because that's what's going to stick in the minds of your previous employers. And when you put that on your resume, and people will call and see, maybe do like a reference check, or, see if they can get some type of feel for what you were like as an employer elsewhere, and they can't give a good recommendation for you, that's more detrimental than if you were to just stay focused and then say, okay, whatever the policy is, maybe it's a 2-week notice or a 4-week notice or something like that, follow that through, and therefore you won't burn bridges. And like Lance was just saying, like they still did work with this gentleman, even though he no longer was an employee at CLA. So that's really wonderful to hear too, because I think they get nervous about, like, how do I quit a job? How do I leave? What do I do? If you do it correctly, then it's not personal, right? I mean, it's just, this is not a good fit for you anymore.
Yep.
Oh, I think can you still hear me? It's
I
saying my
can.
internet.
It's freezing a little bit. I'm not sure it's your side or my side, but it's I
Okay.
heard most of what you said there. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm in Boonville, Indiana. It doesn't get more hick town than that. This is where
uh,
I grew up. This is my hometown. So I'm here visiting, but yeah, it's nothing but cornfields and cows.
that's great.
But yeah, so wonderful. I had the unfortunate experience of working with some people who didn't have a necessarily strong work ethic, and it affected my health. I was the principal of a adjudicated youth facility, and I had 5 members on my team for the education department. And at one point, they all left. Now, it was a very stressful environment. 45, I call them legally challenged students. It was very difficult, but then I had to run a department of 5 by myself. It was so stressful. Like I said, it took a toll on my health, and the school ended up closing after I had left, actually. So we didn't serve the students. We didn't, I mean, just because it was a stressful environment made it that much more stressful, to the point where now people who were going into this field to help were actually hurting And that's an extreme example
Yeah.
of just not having a strong work ethic. But I still remember the one lady who wanted to list me as a reference. And I was like, I can't, like legally, I cannot. Like if they call and say, are you rehirable? I have to say no,
Yeah.
because you just walked out of your job. And now all those months and all those skills that she had learned, she cannot put on her resume
Yep.
because
Yep.
of, yeah, that choice. I mean, it was a knee jerk. It was an impulse reaction. She just had a bad day and she said, I'm done. And she left. And that hurt her as well as it hurt the students, you know? So having that strong work ethic not only is for you and for the company, but also for the mission and the vision of what you're doing and your future.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think it's also one of those things too that, I think there's this maybe belief that, work at you either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Or if I, you know, maybe I'm not passionate about what I'm working on, so I don't want to work hard at it. That there's not an opportunity or a skill set that could be learned and then transferred to another opportunity. And I think that's a huge missed opportunity for a lot of people in the workplace. I personally had a position I had taken as a financial reporting analyst for a large bank at one point in my career, and I thought, man, this is it. Like this is what I wanted, and I got in there, and it was a struggle to be there every day, and I was trying to do the best I could, and but I learned a lot in the season, and I worked hard while I was there, and I took that away and was able to take that to my next position. And so I think that just realizing that one, it might be really hard at first, and it might be hard just because you need to learn a lot of things, or it might be hard because maybe it's not something you're naturally inclined to do. But can you learn in that season, and can you learn while you're in that position to say, I had a sales job at one point where I was responsible for going around and selling auto detailing supplies, and that was definitely outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Now, am I using that today in my role today? Not exactly. However, I learned a ton. I learned how to figure out how to talk, and I learned how to figure out and make a sale and sell a product and talk about it, be an expert on it. And so, and that transferred over into other things. So I think just recognizing that, there are different seasons, but showing up every day and working hard at what you're doing is what's going to produce the next opportunity. And giving up or walking out, Megan, like you were talking about, that is not going to get that next opportunity. It's not going to be the stepping stone that it needs to be. And I think that strong work ethic is what allows everything that we have to be a stepping stone to the next opportunity, the next position, the next advancement. And without that, those opportunities just don't come.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Lance, we're kind of coming up on our time. I really, really appreciate you being here with us. And students, if you want your attendance counted, please just type your full name in the chat pod and I will manually add you to engage. But this does kind of end our call for strong work ethic. Lance, thank you again for your time. Students, thank you for showing up. And as always, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. And Lance, could they also reach out to you as well? They can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Certainly can. Yes. Yeah. Look forward to it.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Take care, Megan. Bye.
Bye.